Welcome to this challenging yoga practice for your follicular phase. In this practice, we are building toward a peak pose of crow, Bakasana. This is an arm balance, it's a hip opener, it requires a lot of core strength, and so we'll be preparing the body throughout our practice to really powerfully step into this arm balance, so this weight bearing on the hands. The follicular phase is a great opportunity to learn new skills. It's a time when our proprioception and balance is a little bit more tuned in, and it's a time where we're more open to learning new things. So this is a great opportunity to really play with these arm balancing postures, especially if they're new to you. If you're a seasoned yoga practitioner, this is a great way to really kind of hone in on the key actions that make up this peak pose. So we'll be working through the core activation, the shoulder squeezing action that will help you lift off into crow pose. So we'll begin in a comfortable child's pose. You can come onto your mat, let your big toes touch, let your knees be wide apart. So this is our first opportunity to sort of gather information about our peak pose. So we've got the hips nice and wide, and we rest the forehead on the hands. Just let your hips kind of shimmy side to side. Let your breathing start to connect. So in deeply through the nose and out through the nose. Notice the shape of your legs. So the big toes touching, creating this anchor point of connection, and then the knees wide apart. And we'll revisit this shape often throughout our practice today. And as you continue to connect to your breath, just look and listen for anything that might be arising for you. Maybe physical sensations, maybe something in your mental current or your emotional current. Use this practice as a way to metabolize anything that needs to be addressed, or to really integrate anything that you're still kind of working through. You can use your physical practice as a way to kind of transform that energy and to let it work for you. Slowly start to stretch your arms forward, so getting a bit of length in the sides of the waist, stretching the shoulders here. And we'll slowly start to wake the body up. Come into tabletop. Let your legs become parallel. You can even bring the knees closer together. Maybe the big toes stay closer together. And we're coming into a modified cat-cow. So you'll want to walk your hands back so that the heels of the hands are in alignment with the knees, so nice and close. And then we will drag the hands energetically back on the mat, and as you inhale, lengthen the spine out and up. So it's like cow pose here, stretching your gaze up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, press the opposite direction with the hands, round in, chin to chest. Inhale, once again, drag the hands energetically back towards the feet. Slide the heart through the upper arm bones, stretch the spine. And exhale, now press the hands down and forward, round the spine, chin to chest. Really flare the shoulder blades, the back of the heart. Last one like this, inhale. So articulating bone by bone, feeling that stretch, that space in the spine, and exhale. Adding on here as you inhale, lengthen the spine, create space. And then as you exhale this time, press down into the hands, curl the knees into the chin to the knees, round into a ball. Inhale, once again, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, hover the knees, start to curl into a little ball, really round the upper back, feel that strength to the center. Last one like this, inhale. And exhale, round. So coil through the belly, feel magnetizing to the midline, curling into a little ball, and slowly release. Excellent work. We'll walk the hands slightly forward now, back into a tabletop position. You might circle the ankles, release any tension in the feet. And then step your right foot to the outside of your hands. Come into a nice deep lizard pose with the back knee down to start. And just start to express this deep hip opening and explore any areas where you might be feeling tight in that right hip. Really lengthen the arms, so feel how you can keep the spine extended even in this hip opening posture. Then we'll start to tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. Keep the spine stretching straight and strong. Then we'll take a big inhale breath, stretch the heart forward. And as you exhale, coil through the belly, hug your right heel toward your left knee or toward your sitting bone. So you're really hugging that heel in to the center. Release that foot to the ground. Inhale, stretch your spine. And exhale, coil in. It's like core plank. Bring your right knee to the back of your right arm. Hug your heel up and in. Step that foot down once again. Inhale. And last time like this, exhale, coil through the belly, hug that knee in, see if you can connect the heel toward the sitting bone. You might even rest a little bit of weight on the back of the right arm and release that hand down. Nice big stretch here. On your next exhale, step your left foot to meet your right. So we're coming into a deep malasana squat, garland squat. Use your elbows to press the knees wide apart. The hands can come to the heart. Breathing deeply here. So allow the hips to melt down without collapsing. So there's still some energy in the pelvic floor. You can create that by hugging the heels energetically toward each other like they're trying to connect. And then place the hands on the floor. Send your right foot back, right knee down. Come into lizard pose. So again, just starting to gently awaken the hips, starting to warm the body and really fire up the core. So that center of the third chakra, right in the solar plexus, where we're gathering all the energy we need to lift off into arm balances. From here, tuck your right toes under, lift your right knee high. Nice long lunge. Inhale, stretch your heart forward. And as you exhale, round in the upper back, hug your heel toward your sitting bone or toward your right knee. Bring your left knee to your left tricep or even towards the armpit. Really coil in and create space. And then step that foot down. Inhale. Exhale, coil in. Hug that heel toward the sitting bone. Create as much space as you can. Round in the upper back. And then step it down. Inhale. Last one like this, firing up the belly. Gather energy to the center. Press into your hands like crazy. And then slowly step it forward. Big inhale. And as you exhale, malasana, step your right foot forward. Come into that nice deep squat. Just a breath here. Big inhale. And exhale. Take your hands to the mat. Start to slowly work the legs towards straight, parallel the feet. Come into a nice forward bend here, pedaling out the feet, bending and straightening, alternate knees. Just kind of awakening the backs of the legs now. Let the head and neck hang heavy. And keep the weight shifting forward into the ball mounds of your feet. As you're ready, slowly, bone by bone, begin to roll up to standing. Find mountain pose. And gather your energy here. So just letting that change from kind of our quadruped position now to standing. Just letting that settle in for a moment of pause. Notice anything you feel. Maybe you start to connect more deeply to the core, drawing the navel into spine. Feel that integration in the very center of your being. Step the big toes to touch so the feet come together. We're coming into chair pose next. So we're starting our flow. As you inhale, sit back into a chair. Reach your arms nice and high, stretching the fingertips skyward. Notice if your low ribs are flaring. Can you draw them in and back and sink the hip creases a little bit lower? Then lift up through the heart. This is enlivening the entire spine, the rivers of the spine to keep you upright. From here, start to lift the heels, come high onto the ball mounds of the feet, and then slowly lower all the way down to your heels. So hips to heels, with control. Excellent job. Bring your hands to the earth. If you need them for support, you can keep your hands beside you or simply lower onto a seat, coming into boat pose. So we're going to lift the knees to 90 degrees first, flare the toes to energize the feet, and then hug the thighs toward the belly, hug the heart, belly, chest toward the thighs. So you have this drawing inward to the center. It's that inner gravity that connects. You can reach the arms out in front here. Big inhale. And slow exhale. Hug the knees together to the midline. Feel that squeeze. Then on your next inhale, we'll lower down. Low boat pose. Keep the belly hugging into the spine. And lift up. Exhale. Inhale, lower down. Keep that integration, hip points and low ribs together. And exhale, lift it up. We'll take 3 more like this. Inhale, lower down. And exhale, lift it up. Last 2. Inhale. Feel the belly engage without puffing. So you're keeping everything drawing down towards the earth as you come down. And last one like this. Big breath. Hold here in boat pose just for a breath or 2. And then we'll slowly release the feet to the mat. Keep the big toes touching. So we've got this nice tight ball pose. If you can, we're going to practice shifting from a seat into ball pose, so lifting the hips without the hands. But if you need your hands, no shame in bringing them to the floor to help you get there. So we're transitioning from that seat back into ball pose. We lift the heels. We are on the ball mounds of the feet. Give your hips a little bit of a shake. And then we'll start to take the hands to the inside of the legs. The arms are inside the legs. And we'll lift the hips ever so slightly so that you can tuck your upper arm bones towards your shins. So you want to feel that connection, that pressing of your arms into your shins. We're going to work the same spinal movements that we've been working with so far. So we'll inhale, stretch the heart forward. And then as you exhale, round, press the knees into the arms, arms into the knees, and curl chin to chest. Inhale, open up. You can lower the hips to the heels. And then exhale, round. So create that coiling action into the center. Inhale, lower, descend the hips to the heels, stretch the heart forward. And exhale, round it up. So we're activating the legs here, strengthening the core. Last one, round. Imagine your feet lifting off. And then I want you to stay in this lifted position. So we've been rounding the spine here. I want you to keep the action in the arms and legs, but simply stretch the heart forward now. So you feel that change in the gravity and the loading pattern. Big breath in, slow breath out. And then gently release the heels to the mat. Come into a nice deep forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. And as you exhale, plant the hands, step back into plank pose. Stretch your heart forward with an inhale. Take your chest and shoulders past the wrists. And then as you exhale, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the belly. Cobra pose, inhale, come onto fingertips, lift the heart, belly, chest. Keep the hips grounded, shoulders relaxed. And exhale back to the earth. Tuck the toes, and as you're ready, inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. So our first downward dog, just get comfortable in this sort of home base pose, pedaling out the feet. Maybe take the head side to side. And then create some space in the neck by melting the shoulder blades toward the hips. So you're pressing the shoulder blades onto the back. Rotate the inner upper arm bones forward in space, and then mirror that with the inner upper thigh bones back in space. Spread the toes, spread the fingers. Last big breath here. Start to step the feet together. As you inhale, take your right leg up and back. Keep the hips nice and square. Feel that stretch in the back of the left leg. On the exhale, take your right knee to your left elbow. Coil through the belly. Feel that strength. Inhale, re-extend. To center, exhale. Knee to nose, curl in. Inhale, reach back up. And then exhale to the outside. So right knee to right elbow or armpit, curl in. and re-extend. Exhale, this time step your right foot through between your hands. Come into this nice deep lunge pose. So you should feel a little bit more space now in the right hip. I want you to move the right shin forward as you send the left heel back. Descend the right hip crease down, but then feel some buoyancy, some lightness in the back thigh. Take your right hand to the inside of your right leg. So we come into full lizard pose here. And then touch your right hand to your heart. Begin to twist your heart to the right and reach your right arm skyward. Notice if your hips have come along for the ride, can you descend the right hip and then work the twist deeper into the upper back. Keep that back leg straight and strong. It's your stabilizing force in this twist. Then as you exhale, dive your right shoulder down toward your right heel. Start to clasp with your right hand on the back of your right calf. So kind of in the meaty part of the calf. I want you to take that right hand, press the calf forward, and tuck your right shoulder underneath your right knee, almost like you were putting on the strap of a backpack. And then very gently rocking forward and back. Begin to explore the space of the hip. Feel that deep separation between the thigh bones. And then slowly release that hand down. You can take your hands to frame your right foot. Turn the back heel flat in preparation for warrior one. So set up your feet first. Back heel comes down, back toes at 45 degrees. And you can have as much space between the feet as you need for your hips. We'll slowly rise in warrior one now, reaching the arms overhead. Keep dialing the right hip crease back, the left hip forward. Notice if your low ribs are flaring, can you lift the hip points up toward the low ribs to integrate the low belly? Big breath in, expand across the chest. And as you exhale, interlace your fingers behind you, find yoga mudra. Start to draw the knuckles, the thumbs toward the earth. Stretch across the chest. Keep bending into that right knee. Feel the power in your legs. Big breath in. And as you exhale, humble warrior. So once again, diving that right shoulder toward that right heel, reaching the knuckles skyward, letting the crown of the head bow in. So really honoring yourself here in this humble warrior position. As you inhale, halfway lift, release the hands. We're going to turn now to the long edge of your mat, coming into Prasarita Padottanasana, or wide-legged forward bend. Let your head hang heavy for a moment here, maybe relaxing all the way to the earth. Keep the weight shifting forward into the ball mounds of your feet. Really root down through the knife edges so that you feel that stretch in the outer legs. From this deep forward bend, halfway lift your spine. Start to experiment with shifting a little bit of weight onto the hands. So I want you to lift your heels high off the mat and press down into your hands as hard as you can. So feel that upper back rounding, like you're broadening the shoulder blades apart. And then sink it back down, bend the knees into a squat. We'll rock forward, lift the heels, shift weight onto the hands, and back down. You can stay with this variation or add a little bit of power. So as you bend the knees, come into the squat. Then weight on the hands, hop the feet together, land softly in ball pose. Hop the feet apart, find that little bit of hang time with weight on the hands. Hop the feet together, come in. So as quickly or as slowly feels good for you, alternating between wide legs and hopping the feet apart. But I want you to feel as you press down all the key actions we've been working on. So that pressing of the upper back skyward, rooting down through the hands, to really take and share some of the load so that you get comfortable weight bearing on the hands. The next time that your feet are together, we'll pause in ball pose and slowly start to straighten the legs any amount into a forward bend so the feet are close together. Take a big breath in, halfway lift. Then slowly start to lift your right leg out to the side, working toward horizontal, but as far as it will go is just fine. Let it come down, exhale. And then on your next breath, lift the left leg out to the side. As you do this, be sure to keep your pelvis nice and level so that you are engaging the glutes here to help that leg lift. So we're not twisting or rotating the pelvis to develop the range of motion, but instead the strength in the outer hips. Last one each side here. And slowly come back through center. Find ball pose once again. Gather your breath, gather your strength, and then hop the feet apart. Nice deep forward bend. And then we'll slowly start to walk the hands to the left foot now. We're coming into the second side with the reverse order. So prepping the feet for warrior one first. Slowly rise in warrior one. So we've got that back heel flat. We're rotating the right hip forward, left hip crease back. Reaching the arms skyward. Feel that power in the shoulders without flaring the ribs. So again, lift the hip points toward the low ribs. Then begin to interlace your fingers behind you on an exhale. Yoga mudra, stretch across the chest. Again, focus this on the heart space, less flaring in the low ribs. So we want to stay integrated in the second, third chakra, pulling inward, and then expressing outward through the heart, the center of the fourth chakra. Big inhale breath. And then as you exhale, bow in. So dive the left shoulder toward the left heel. Let the crown of your head bow inward. So again, this gesture of honoring your innermost self, your most authentic self here. Stay strong in the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. And then release your hands to the inside of your left foot. Pivot onto the ball of the back foot. Come into lizard pose. So you should start to feel, again, that space that we've created in the left hip. Keep your right hand down. Bring your left hand to your heart. Spin your heart open to the left. Extend your left arm and left hand skyward. Notice again if your hips come along for the ride. Can you square the hips to the earth and then work the twist into the upper chest, upper back. So we're aiming the right low ribs toward your inner left thigh. On your next exhale, dive your left shoulder under your left knee. Clasp with your left hand to your left calf and press your left calf forward. So you feel this shoulder squeezing action. As you press your hand into your calf, press your knee back into your shoulder, like you're wearing a backpack strap. As you do this, re-extend the heart forward so you feel that length in the spine. And gently rock forward and back. Slowly release the left hand to frame your left foot. And with your next inhale, send your left leg up and back. Feel the space in the back of the right leg, square the hips. On your exhale, take your left knee to your right elbow, coil through the belly. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale through center, press into the hands, around the upper back, chin towards your knee. Inhale, re-extend. To the open side now, left knee to left elbow or armpit, coil through the belly, create space, and reach it back up. Let your left foot join your right, find downward dog. Enjoy a breath or two here. If you need to, you can always bring the knees down, come into puppy or modified child's pose for a breath or two. And just, again, giving yourself this moment to scan the body. Notice where you feel the work so far. What have you learned through this first wave of flow that we can carry through the rest of the practice? As you're ready, unfold back into downward dog. We'll bring the feet together. Just a little bit of a reset with side plank here to each side. So as you're ready, lift the heels. Turn the toes to the right, heels to the left, find side plank. Reach your right arm skyward, press down into your left hand to create that powerful arc shape in the underside of the body. Stack the shoulders, stack the hips. Big breath in and slow breath out. Come back through center, downward dog, and then pivot the toes to the left, heels to the right. Come into side plank. So I love this entry to side plank from downward dog where the
The wrists are ahead of the shoulders rather than from plank where we tend to get a little bit compressed in the wrist. Press down into the right hand, lift up through the left hand, and slowly come back to center, downward dog. Big breath in, gaze forward between your hands, bend your knees, lift your heels. On the exhale, step, walk, or jump your feet to your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Reach the arms up, sink the hips back. Exhale, mountain. Rise to stand, release your arms by your sides. Give your body a bit of a shimmy and a shake. And again, just letting that first wave of flow integrate. We are entering our second wave now. Bring your big toes to touch. As you're ready, chair pose. Sink your hips back, reach your arms high. Start to shift the weight into your right foot. Take your left leg over right for eagle legs. Wrap your left arm under right for eagle arms. Mirror the action in your legs to your arms. So we're squeezing elbows and knees to the midline. And then aiming to stretch the inner thighs. So the inner thighs are squeezing in, but the hip creases are stretching apart, just like your inner armpits are trying to stretch apart to broaden the upper back. As you inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, coil through the belly, take elbows to knees, round in, broaden the upper back. Twice more, inhale, lift up. You can always kickstand the left foot if needed. Round in, coil through the belly, feel your balance. You got this. Inhale, last one. And exhale, round. Excellent work. Slowly unravel. Find your chair pose. Inhale. Shift the weight into your left foot now. Cross your right foot over left. Right arm under left for eagle arms. So we wrap the arms and legs. You can always take opposite shoulders if it's too much stretch or strain in the wrists. Keep the spine nice and tall. Keep pulling navel into spine. Lift hip points and low ribs together. Big inhale. And as you exhale, knees to elbows, round in, broaden the upper back. Create that space. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, round in. Last one like this. I know your legs are tired. Big inhale. And exhale. As you inhale, come up, unravel, find chair pose. Reach the arms overhead, sink the hips back and down. We'll start to lift the heels now. Come onto the ball mounds of the feet. And then nice and slow, lower hips to heels, all the way down. If you need your hands for support, bring them to the mat beside you. We're lowering onto a seat, finding that boat pose once again. So arms reach forward, thighs hug to the heart, belly, chest. We lift up and gather that strength to the center. From here, we're going to keep the inner edges of the feet glued together. That's our anchor point. And then we're going to press the knees wide apart. And then reach your arms through. Try to connect your knees to your upper arm bones, so the outer arms. Squeeze your knees into your arms. Press your palms forward like you're pressing into a wall. And then notice if your upper back is rounding or collapsing. Can you keep that press, but then stretch the heart in and up? It takes a crazy amount of core strength and stability to create that spinal extension in this shape. So practice it here. Big breath in. And exhale. Keep the hands and the arms as they are. Just let your feet come to the mat. You're going to take the knees as they are, but keep hugging into the outer arm bones. And then reach your arms out to T. I want you to stretch the heart through the legs here and press your triceps into your shins. So really feel this connection. You can even shimmy your sitting bones closer to your heels. And then just imagine what this would feel like as you're floating. So you're pressing the shins into the upper arms into the shins. You create this circuit of energy, and then we stretch the heart forward. This is crow pose. It's all the key actions minus the balance, minus the lift off. Last big breath. And slowly release. So again, if you need the support of your hands to come back into ball pose, you can use them to either side. Otherwise, we're lifting onto the toes here, coming into ball pose. And then start to straighten the legs. Any amount, begin to heel toe the feet, head to where they're hips width distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. So we're coming into our first opportunity to balance on the hands. Coming into shoulder squeeze pose. So we're going to bend the knees deeply, melt the heart, belly, chest, the outer ribs, inside the legs. And then that same action that we had in lizard pose, we're going to take the hands, clasp the calves to really tuck your shoulders under your knees. So it's like you're putting on 2 backpack straps. We create this nice shoulder squeezing posture. And then you'll bring your hands behind your heels, coil through the belly, lift your navel to spine, start to lower the hips as you stretch the heart forward. Begin to transfer a little bit of weight into the hands, so from the feet to the hands, and this might be where you stay. You might be practicing here for a while. If you're ready though, start to hug your right heel toward your sitting bone, just like we did in our opening sequence where we hug that heel in. And then you might start to hug the left heel in toward your sitting bone. If you can, cross at the ankles and then squeeze like crazy with your legs into your arms. This is called Bhuja Pidasana, or shoulder squeezing pose. Coil through the belly, stretch the heart forward, spread the fingers, press evenly through all 10 finger pads, and then slowly unravel. Let your feet touch down. Give the weight back to your feet from your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll counter this for the wrists. Start to take your fingertips under your feet so that your fingers are facing your heels and your feet gently massage the heels of your hands, your wrists. And then any amount, just start to relax into a forward fold. Really wiggle your feet onto your hands to get that massage. And then as you're ready, release the hands, halfway lift, inhale. And as you exhale, step back into plank. Inhale, shift the weight forward, let your shoulders come over your wrists, lower all the way to the belly. Untuck the toes. Inhale, cobra pose or up dog. In upward dog, your hips, thighs, and knees lift. Cobra, the hips and legs are grounded. Exhale, release. Inhale, plank pose. And exhale, downward facing dog. Enjoy a breath or two here. Pedal out the feet. Notice anything that has changed from our last entry to downward dog. We have one more working wave before we make our way to crow pose. So as you're ready, this time we're going to lift the left leg up and back. Big breath in. On the exhale, cross your body, take your left knee to your right elbow or armpit, really lift. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, knee to nose, round the spine, create that space. Keep hugging the heel toward the sitting bone and reach it back. Exhale, left knee to left elbow, coil through the belly. This time you have the option of coming into chaturanga arms, creating a little bit of a platform and playing with resting weight on to the back of the left arm. Send it up and back as you're ready. And then exhale, step your left foot through between your hands. Come into that nice, strong lizard pose once again. Bring your hands to the inside. So feel the strength in the back leg. Reach the heart and crown of the head forward. We're going to take the right hand, reach for your left shin. Create this nice, strong clasp. And then we'll start to twist open. So now it's an unsupported twist. Left arm reaches skyward. Keep the hips square to the front. Keep energetically drawing your left shin to the midline to help stabilize the twist. So this strong core, strong legs supporting this movement. As you're ready, release the left hand down, right hand joins it. Prepare the legs now for warrior one once again. Back heel turns flat. Toes are at 45 degrees. As you're ready, rise in warrior one. Integrate the low belly, lift hip points and low ribs together. Stretch up through the heart. Find yoga mudra, exhale. Interlace the fingers behind you, stretch across the chest. Big breath in. On your exhale this time, reach the crown of the head as far forward as it will go. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Begin to transfer weight from your right foot to your left. Find tumbling tree. So we start to work the back leg to the horizontal, maybe even higher. We reach the knuckles skyward as a counterbalance and relax the crown of the head towards the earth. Find your balance here. Big inhale. And slowly release the hands. Let the right toes touch down. Turning to the long edge of your mat now, coming once again into Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward bend. Relax your head and shoulders here for a moment. Then on your inhale, halfway lift the spine. Begin to bend into your left knee. Come into Skandasana or side lunge. So the right leg is straight and strong. Left knee bends. Then I want you to take your hands, press them into the mat close to your left foot. We're going to start to shift weight into the hands and then start to connect your left knee with the back of your left arm. Once you're there, lift onto the left toes, hug the left heel toward your left sitting bone. Feel that floating action in half crow. You can stay here or you have the option to bring your right hand to your heart and then send your right hand out to the side. Feel this balanced shape, your weight bearing on that left hand. Slowly release hand and foot. Come through center, transition to the other side. So we bend now into the right knee. Find Skandasana or half side lunge here. Right knee is bending, left leg is straight. Bring your hands to the earth. Touch your right knee to the back of your right arm. Feel that connection. Try to get it close to the armpit, so high up on the arm. And then we shift weight into the hands, lift the right heel, hug the right heel into sitting bone, like you're trying to connect and keep that marriage between heel and the hips. Touch your left hand to your heart, option here. You can also take that left hand out to the side. Half crow pose. Slowly release it down, hand and foot. Come back through center just for a breath. Let the head hang heavy. And then as you're ready, we'll start to walk the hands toward the right foot, parallel the feet, and then prepare for warrior one. So bring the left heel down, left toes at 45 degrees, deep bend in the right knee, rise, warrior one. Reach the arms overhead first, create this length in the spine, but then soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Coil the hip bones up toward the low ribs. Interlace your fingers behind you, yoga mudra. Stretch across the chest, straighten the arms. Big breath in. And then as you exhale, reach the crown of the head as far forward as it will go. Shift onto the back toes. Give weight from the left foot to the right. Begin to lift the left leg off the mat and bow down into your tumbling tree. So release the crown of the head towards the earth, square the hips, reach the knuckles skyward as counterbalance. Last big breath. And slowly release the hands. Let the left toes touch down. Come into lizard pose, bring the hands to the inside of the right foot. This time we're taking the left hand, clasping the right shin. So as you clasp the shin with the hand, encourage that right knee back to the midline so you're keeping it stable. And then we spin the heart open, right arm skyward. So we're stabilizing the legs with that clasp and then freeing the upper back to twist. Sink the right hip crease down, press the left thigh skyward. Last big breath. And slowly return to center. Let your hands frame your right foot. On your inhale, send your right leg up and back. Big breath. Cross the body, exhale, take your right knee to your left elbow, armpit, coil in, and re-extend. To center now, exhale, create space around the upper back, and then re-extend. Last time here, exhale to the outside now, right knee to right elbow, connect. And then you have the option to bend the elbows, come into a half push-up, and just explore what it feels like to create weight bearing on the hands. Press it up and back, inhale. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. Again, you have the option here, come down to knees, maybe elbows, find a modified puppy pose, and just taking some weight off the hands for a moment. And then we'll come back up into downward dog, unfold, stretch the spine. Bring the big toes to touch, working one more round of side plank here. Lift the heels. Turn the toes to the left, heels to the right. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Come into your side plank this time. Hug the knee to elbow. You can even reach for the shin to create that clasp. Keep the side waist lengthening as you hug that knee in. Re-extend. Come back through downward dog. We'll switch to the second side. So heels lift, toes to the right, heels to the left. Open into side plank. Hug the knee into chest, into side waist. Press down into your left hand. Create that strongest arc. And then slowly release. Downward facing dog. Enjoy a breath or two here. As you inhale, lift the heels, gaze forward, bend your knees. And as you exhale, step, walk, or jump the feet to the hands. Let your big toes touch. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, samastitihi, or mountain pose. Release your hands by your sides. So we have worked through the exertion phase, the hardest part of our flow. And now we have an opportunity to play with crow pose. So we will enter, just like we've been doing, from our chair pose. As you're ready, inhale, sink the hips low, reach the arms high. You can bring your hands to your heart if you like. Lift your heels nice and high. Hug the legs to the center. Slowly lower the hips all the way to the heels. Bring your hands down to the mat. Start to take your knees nice and wide. Keep the heels touching the inner edges of the feet glued together so you have that anchor point to work with. And then we're going to dive the heart, belly, chest down. So get nice and low. Into your legs. The hips and the heels married together, like they're trying to go toward each other. We want the hips to be too high, pulling towards the heels. And then we slowly give more weight to the hands. Hug your right heel to sitting bone. Feel that energy. Touch it down. Hug the left heel to sitting bone. Let it float. Feel that strength and that coiling to the center. Really curl your tail towards your heel. And then come back down. This time, as you're ready, bring one heel to sitting bone and then the other. Give the weight to your hands. Press into the ball mounds of your feet. Create that circuit of energy, drawing the hips toward the heels toward the hips, and then stretching the heart forward. Find your balance. Coil the navel to spine and slowly release. Shake out the wrists. You can take several rounds. Try floating in and out. And just getting playful, especially if this is a new skill for you. So using this phase of the cycle to really explore, to take on new things. Once you are done, once you feel complete with your crow pose play, we will start to cool it down now. So we'll come all the way onto a seat. We've been working a lot with pulling to the center, so sort of this rounding in the upper back. So now we will counter that with a little bit of chest opening, back bending, and kind of resetting with twists. So take your hands behind you, turn the fingers to the long edges of your mat, and we'll slowly come into upward table. So I want you to feel this as a counter pose. So you're pressing into the heels of the hands, squeezing the heels of the hands inward toward each other behind you. And then lifting up through the thighs, squeezing the glutes to create that spacious quality on the front line of the body. So that counter pose, the Pratikriyasana, to all of the activation that we've been working on throughout this practice. Slowly lower the hips down to the mat. We'll take the left leg under, cross your right leg over. So right foot to the outside of left knee. If this is too much flexion, you can always extend the left leg long. We're coming into a deep seated twist. So we straighten up through the spine, lift your left arm nice and high, reach through the fingertips, and then rotate as far as you can using your belly first. So find kind of your maximum rotation and only then begin to hook the elbow to the outside of right knee. Bring your hands to the heart, press your right hand into left to leverage a deeper twist. The shoulders are floating directly over the hips. Big breath in. And exhale, twist deeper. So we're just kind of resetting the spine here with a twist. Gaze forward and then slowly release the twist. Let the soles of the feet touch now in cobbler pose or bound angle pose. So soles of the feet are touching. You can clasp peace fingers around the big toes or even just reach around your ankles. What we're looking for is that nice extension in the spine. So as you pull your ankles toward you, really slide the heart between the upper arm bones. Feel this lift in the chest. That expansion to counter all of the inward pull that we used for crow pose. And we want to find a place where we can use both of those actions together to find balance. And then as you're ready, fold the body forward. Keep your spine as straight and strong as long as you can, and then begin to round in. Slowly start to come up. Take your right foot under now, left foot to the outside of right knee. Lift your right arm high, make sure you're grounded through both sitting bones. And as you exhale, rotate once again as far as you can using the belly only. And then begin to hook the elbow to the outside. You can take your left hand, press the left thigh forward to get more of that connection with the right arm to the outside. And then use your left hand, press it into right, hands to heart, find that deep twist. Maybe gaze over your left shoulder. And even though you have a little bit of constriction in the belly, can you breathe deeply, inflate the lungs so much that you feel your belly press into the left thigh. And then gaze forward, slowly release the twist. We'll start to hug the knees here and gently roll all the way onto the back. We'll bring the feet to parallel. Let your shoulders tuck underneath you. And with your next breath in, lift your hips, come into bridge pose. So again, keeping the belly integrated here. We want to lift the hip points toward the low ribs so we're not puffing the low belly or flaring the ribs. Then you can start to crawl your hands underneath you. You might reach for your ankles or find yoga mudra to really expand the front body here. Counter pose, really lengthening up and out, creating space between the bones of the spine. Press the backs of your arms down into the mat. You might even take the hands to the sacrum. Create a little bit of a shelf so that the body can relax as the front body opens. So you're not having to create as much effort when you create this shelf with the hands. And then slowly, carefully release down. Let your spine come back to neutral. This time, extend your legs long. We'll take the hands by your sides. Start to crawl your hands underneath your sitting bones, so underneath the hips. And you want to really tuck the backs of the arms underneath the shoulder blades. We'll come into fish pose next, so point the toes, and then begin to lift onto the forearms. So you lift up through the chest, and then send the head back. If you can, bring the crown of the head to the mat. Feel this nice opening in the throat chakra, this space that invites us to articulate, to connect the heart space and the mind space for clear communication. This is a great one for follicular and ovulatory phases when we are naturally more articulate, more attuned to language. And it just feels really good. As you're ready, slowly release the head and heart back to the mat. We'll start to hug the knees into the chest, nice and gentle, rocking side to side. And then let the knees lower to the left. Keep your shoulders grounded. Gaze to the right, spinal twist. Let this be a very gentle twist now. So different from our seated twist, more of a passive gesture of receiving. So don't worry about stacking your knees exactly one on top of the other. Just let them fall wherever they may. Feel that gentle soothing in the lower back, space in the belly. And then with a little bit of tone in the low belly, start to transition to the other side. So we have the knees to the right, gaze to the left, shoulders are nice and grounded, very heavy. You might even start to feel your eyes close. Release any control you still have over the breath. Let it flow freely and naturally. Only when you're ready, coming through center once again. You can extend your legs long if you like, or I invite you to bring the knees together, the feet apart. So kind of this knock-kneed position, which can feel really good after a lot of the hip opening that we've been doing, just to let the sacrum kind of fall back into place. You can bring a hand to heart, hand to belly. Maybe lick your lips. Relax your jaw, move your lips side to side. Soften the muscles around your eyes, your eyebrows, your forehead. Let your body become very heavy. Start to really pay attention to that point of connection between your body and the mat, and that plane. Allow yourself to relax in all of those points of contact. Part of the beauty in crow pose is it pulls us inward. It uses that incredible strength of the solar plexus, the third chakra, our fire center. It's the center of our identity, our confidence. So as you rest now in this final posture, can you feel the remnants of that inner gravity? Can you let it draw you deeper into more connection with self? We'll be here a minute or two more, just resting, allowing your mind to relax as best as you can, and just staying open and playful wherever it wants to go, and just observing the patterns that your mind falls into without trying to change anything.
Only when you're ready, call your awareness back into your body, into the space. Start to deepen the breath once again. Invite movement into the fingers, the toes. Maybe circling the wrists, the ankles, gently reawakening the body. So taking as much care with this transition period as you do with your practice. Start to roll to one side as you're ready, giving yourself as much time as you need in each new position. And then gently working your way up to a comfortable seat. Giving yourself a pause here, lifting the spine nice and tall, maybe keeping the eyes closed for a moment. Just allowing your awareness to scan from head to toe. Notice any changes you feel in the spine, in your posture. Maybe your breath feels different. And then gently blink the eyes open as you're ready. I want to thank you so very much for joining me for this practice. I hope that it felt supportive and like exactly what your body needed. I hope you were able to tap into that quality of play as we kind of explored new territory in hand balancing. So thank you for being here with me and for letting your body be moved.